Hey guys, welcome back to the Renegades YouTube channel. My name is Bowswer, I'm an Apex Pro for Renegades, and today what we're going to be going over is all of the legends in Season 9 and rating them all the way from S through F tier. So let's get right into the video. So, first legend up, we're going to go ahead and go with Valkyrie, the Season 9 brand new legend. Now, I would put Valkyrie in the A tier, and my reasoning for this is pretty straightforward. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with her kit. You can do all sorts of like jetpack boosting. You've got her tactical, which is a pretty solid tactical. Valkyrie also has, in my opinion, one of the strongest rotation ultimates in the game. Just being able to balloon anywhere in the map is powerful. On top of that, she gets a beacon scan. So yeah, I would say overall, for the brand new legend, pretty solid, A tier. Great pick, would recommend. So next up, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Bangalore. And Bangalore, in my opinion, is one of those characters where she's not in a bad place. She's definitely not like a meta character by any means. I would definitely put Bangalore here, I would say somewhere in the B tier. And her ultimate has gotten a lot better. It used to be really easy to get around and not, you know, completely avoid. And she still has her smokes, which I think the usefulness of her smokes hasn't really gone away. It's just compared to all of the other characters and their abilities like Gibby Bubble, Pathfinder Grapple, Valkyrie, Horizon Q, all these other new characters that come in with their new abilities. She's not that bad of a character, especially if you're just like solo queuing. Decent kit, her passive is pretty good too. So solid B tier. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Wraith next. Wraith, in my opinion, I'm gonna have to go with A tier on Wraith. Wraith, in my opinion, is kind of in this weird place right now where she doesn't have low profile anymore, which is one of the main reasons why I would put her in A tier right now, is because she doesn't have low profile. She's still a pretty good legend. I mean, what can I say? Like, you get the Q, you have the Wraith portal, but that's pretty much where her advantages end. She's got a very easy hitbox to hit now, even though she doesn't have low profile, which takes away from the character a little bit compared to where she was at the S tier in other seasons. And on top of that, her portal is still very useful, especially in competitive, but nowhere near the level that it used to be. She has her role that she plays and she does it well. Solid A tier for Wraith. Now I'm gonna go ahead and go with Lifeline. And I'm gonna put Lifeline at D tier. And my opinion on Lifeline is the new change that they had for Lifeline where they got rid of her res shield was definitely a nerf in my opinion. I think the revive shield definitely needed either some kind of cooldown so you couldn't just spam it non-stop, or they just needed to get rid of it completely. And I think the devs just got rid of it completely. They were like, okay, you know, the shield's very frustrating. They instead buffed her ultimate. I think she needs a little bit more healing in general. And one of the ideas I've had to make Lifeline better is to have her drone heal shields as well as health. I would definitely put Lifeline in D tier overall as a character. Up next, we have Horizon. I would put Horizon, it's a toss-up between C or D for me. I'll go ahead and put her at C tier. And my reasoning for this is pretty straightforward. The new nerfs that she got for Season 9 have hit her pretty hard. They added an audio cue to her Horizon tactical, thank God. On top of that, they also kind of nerfed the strafing that you could do. Well, most of the stuff that you could do with Horizon before you can still do now. You can use her tactical to get to high ground, but also from a competitive standpoint, it really hurts her viability now because as a character that doesn't offer very much survivability, doesn't offer that much like team play or rotation, no beacon scan. So from a competitive standpoint, she definitely lacks a lot as a character. Right now, I wouldn't worry too much about playing Horizon. She's just kind of there, honestly now. Yeah, C tier for me on Horizon. Up next, we are going to let's talk about Crypto. My man Crypto, I'm gonna put out a solid B tier. That might come as a surprise to some people, especially if you don't follow competitive, but Crypto is not that bad of a legend, especially if you play him with a team. You get so much information and so much utility out of his drone. He is by far the best character, especially in competitive, to get beacon scans with. His EMP is still powerful, very strong ability to use. Overall, not a bad character. His main drawback, I would say, that really keeps him from the top tier is the fact that Without his drone, the character doesn't have anything else going for him. A lot of situations, I feel like with Crypto, you have to sit back and bait your teammates on the drone. You're basically putting your team in 2v3 situations more often than not. But overall, the abilities themselves are pretty strong and they have good utility. So B tier for Crypto in my opinion. Up next, I have Mirage. And Mirage, I'm going to go ahead and put D tier. I don't think his abilities come nearly as close to as strong as Horizon, for example, but you can still pull some tricks with the bamboozles, you know, use it to get out of sticky situations or get the drop on somebody or buy yourself into a few extra seconds of time. Yeah, I would say solid D tier. Moving on, we have Wattson. And Wattson's going to get a B tier from me. And this isn't really because I think Wattson is in a good place right now or that I think she doesn't need a buff. I definitely think she needs some buffs. But her abilities themselves, the generator has a lot of utility. The fences when you play in competitive are very useful in holding down areas. She does a lot in zoning teams away from you. I can't really underrate that. From a competitive standpoint, I would definitely say Wattson's B tier. She's a little slept on. The devs have to be really cautious about how they address her. Otherwise, she could be an S tier super good pick, especially in comp. So B tier for me on Wattson. Up next, we have Loba. And Loba, I'm thinking of putting Loba in the C category. She got a really nice buff to her translocator where she doesn't get hit with the same kind of stun anymore, but she still has the bracelet animation. You know, it's not like you can just teleport straight in front of somebody and kill them. I feel like her ultimate has this potential to be good, especially in competitive. And obviously in pubs, like it's not a bad ultimate. It's decent. Like you can get some good loot from it. And you know, her Q, I mean, you can pull off plays with her Q, her translocator. So it's not like, I think all in all, some of the other legends kind of offer a little bit more. In my opinion, that's why I think she's kind of, right now, just a little bit of an average character. And I would put her in the C tier for that. Up next, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Caustic. Controversial choice here. Caustic, I'm going to put in the B tier. And the reason for that is he's in the same place right now, in my opinion, as Wattson is. These are both defensive legends that are underpowered, especially in a public match setting. But in a competitive setting, they're definitely pickable. They have they're viable. They have their own utility. Even though his gas is low damage, the slow and the blind that you get is very, very strong. You can't push against a Pro Caustic. That's all I can say. You can't push against a Pro Caustic in his gas in a 1v1. He's just going to have a huge advantage over you with the wall hacks, with the slows, the gas. I do think Caustic in general does need more counterplay as a character. And if they were to make his gas a little bit stronger, but also add that counterplay as a trade-off, I think that would be fair. Solid B tier. B tier for Caustic right now. Up next, I'm going to have Octane. And Octane, solid A tier. He has a really good rotation ultimate. His jump pad used to be terrible, but now in Season 9 and Season 8, they buffed it quite a bit. It's not that easy actually to beam people that are taking Octane pads, especially if they're pushing you with Octane. He got a nerf this patch where they made his stim do extra damage. Honestly, Octane is not in a bad place. He's useful and competitive. You can make really, really fast rotations and make really fast third parties with his jump pad. Honestly, not a bad character at all. A tier for him. What else we got here? We got my boy Revenant. Another disliked legend. And I'm going to put him in the C tier. And my reasoning for putting Revenant in the C tier comes down to really a competitive standpoint where his ultimate has a very niche purpose, kind of like Loba's. He doesn't really offer anything to his team as far as like a rotation. There's no scan that you get with him. He doesn't have actually that much versatility to him. He also has a giant hitbox. His passive is not that great. He does have a strong ultimate for fighting, but that's pretty much honestly all that he has going for him. It's not enough to justify picking him in competitive in my opinion, so I would definitely put Revenant on C tier. Up next, we got my boy Fuse. And I'm sorry to say, but I think my boy Fuse is going to go in F tier. Nothing wrong with Fuse as a legend, you know, as a character. His character design's pretty cool, but his abilities are honestly lacking. You know, his tactical, the concussive grenade or whatever kind of grenade that he has, it's just very underwhelming. Like, it doesn't really accomplish very much except breaking down doors. And overall, in my opinion, a lot weaker, you know, if you compare it to Valkyrie's tactical. It's a lot weaker. Another thing that is not that great about Fuse is his ultimate. And it's really unfortunate, and I think one of the reasons why I think his ultimate is very underwhelming is it's not versatile. I think the concept of having this big ring of fire that can zone teams out is great. Can't really use it indoors in most cases. There's no way for you to make the ring bigger or smaller or change the actual shape, maybe make it into like a big wall of fire that can't be pushed. I would say his one saving grace is his passive. I think his passive is actually pretty good, but it really doesn't make up for the fact that his abilities definitely could use some tuning. And yeah, I mean, for two of his abilities to be pretty underwhelming, I would definitely put Fuse on the F tier. Up next, we're gonna have Rampart, and I think Rampart, in my opinion, goes in the E tier. Her tactical, the walls that she can deploy are honestly not that bad. You know, you have to respect the walls, you have to respect the amped damage, but that's pretty much where all the positive ends. In my opinion, her ultimate is very underwhelming. The minigun itself is pretty strong. I would say it does a lot of damage. I think the main issue with the minigun comes down to the fact that you don't have a lot of cover, and that's a problem because what that basically boils down to in an actual game of Apex is with Rampart, if you try to use the minigun at all, you better be covered in all sides. She has the potential to be a much better character than she is right now, but her ultimate is very lacking. I would say overall E tier. Up next, we have my boy Gibraltar. And Gibraltar, my man, Gibby boy, is going in the S tier. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Gibraltar in the S tier. Gibraltar right now is one of those characters that, despite all the nerfs that he's been getting recently, is just too good. And it really just comes down to a few things. It comes down to the fact that he has Fortified, which I know Caustic has Fortified as well, but especially with the arm shield, it makes a huge difference on Gibby to have Fortified because you get the Fortified plus the arm shield health. The bubble is the difference maker because this is the real reason why Gibby is such a huge character, like a big pickup for teams in competitive right now. His ultimate is very strong, has a lot of uses, very versatile. You can use it to flush somebody out of high ground. You can use it defensively to hold a position. You know, you can use the bubble to initiate on teams. So much team play that you can have with Gibraltar's abilities. They're so powerful. If you're fighting somebody in a bubble, you're not going to get shot at from another team unless they push that bubble. That's a huge reason to pick Gibraltar. You cannot go wrong with picking Gibraltar. Pubs, ranked, competitive, definitely S tier, 100%. And we're going to go ahead and talk about Pathfinder. And Pathfinder is going to be a B tier. I think he's in an interesting place. He doesn't have low profile anymore, thank goodness, but he still has a giant hitbox. While his abilities are still strong, his zipline is, you know, not any better or any worse than it has been. He still has beacon scans and he still has a grapple, which is good. But I think really the main thing holding him back is his hitbox. His hitbox is quite large. Even without low profile, it's kind of hard to justify picking him when you could pick a character like Valkyrie that has beacon scan. I would say honestly the grapple's a little bit better, but again, Valkyrie just has the better hitbox, the better ultimate, and can still beacon scan. So I would say Pathfinder definitely loses out on all of the rotation. I think that puts him solidly in the B tier, and there's definitely a chance for him to shine in the future. You know, who knows? And last but not least, we have my boy Bloodhound. And Bloodhound, definitely S tier, 100%. Bloodhound is one of those characters where I would say he is by far, regardless of your skill level, the easiest character in the game to play. You know, if you're new to the game, if you're new to Apex, he helps a lot with awareness. If you're not really aware of where people are, maybe you hear footsteps, but you don't know where they're coming from, Bloodhound helps you a lot with that. Just getting that free scan, that free information, that the wall hacks, they're just so powerful. And on top of that, your whole team can play around them. They see what you scan. As far as competitive goes, he can also scan beacons. Now, is he a must pick in competitive compared to Gibraltar? No. I would still say that Bloodhound is not a 100% pick in competitive right now like Gibraltar is. Bloodhound makes up for that for just being an insanely versatile character. He's so powerful regardless of who's playing him, regardless of what game mode you're playing. He's insanely powerful in arenas. And it just comes down to the fact that, you know, wall hacks. I mean, I really don't know what else to say. I mean, you get free wall hacks, you pop Bloodhound ultimate, you get even more wall hacks, and definitely one of the easiest characters to play in the game. And that's pretty much it. That concludes my Season 9 Apex Legends tier list. And there you have it, guys. I hope you guys have learned something new about all of the characters in Apex Legends for Season 9. And don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.